Hey, folks, thanks for checking out Reigniting Liberty. I'm Deneen Borelli, and Dr. Tom Borelli is in the house, bringing you the truth in black and white. Well, we are closing out this year, 2022, Dr. Tom. And folks, with Time Magazine, you know how they have the Person of the Year awards? They do that every year. Well, the Borellis are doing our Person of the Year award as well, but it's for the worst Person of the Year award. You heard me. The worst Person of the Year award. The Reigniting Liberty team, we're going to give you that award to
Drum
President
roll.
Biden. President Joe Biden. Yes, that's who we are giving this award to. Biden is a complete disaster. We don't have to tell you that. I'm sure folks listening and watching, you are feeling the consequences of the failures from his administration. His policies are doing significant harm to the country, to Americans. So in this episode of Reigniting Liberty, Dr. Tom and I, we're going to bring you the truth in black and white and reveal some of the damages that President Biden has done to the country and to you,
It's right.
Mr. and Miss
Personal.
America.
That's right. It's absolutely personal because the man is a disaster, as Deneen just described. And that's exactly why we're giving him the Worst Person of the Year award. And you could probably make an argument he's going to be the worst person of the decade and maybe the worst president in the United States history, because he's certainly on that track. There's no doubt about it. And as Deneen just mentioned, Americans, everyday, hardworking Americans, are feeling the consequences of Biden and his disastrous policies. No doubt
Yep.
about that. But before we get into his policies, I think it's really appropriate to talk about his general appearance. You know, his presence on stage, his presence in international conferences, all these factors combined make a perception about a person. It's visual, it's audio, it's all combined to give a perception of a person. And when it comes to Biden, the perception is a weak leader, a feeble and weak leader. For everybody who's been following us here for a while, know that Team Borelli, we're big fans of the group Pink Floyd. So often we'll quote Floyd once in a while. And when it comes to Biden, I think a line from the song In the Flesh from the Wall album really fits Joe Biden. And to quote Pink Floyd's song In the Flesh from the album The Wall, Biden, quote, has the warm thrill of confusion, that space cadet glow. End of quote.
Uh,
Yes, Biden does indeed have that space cadet glow in more ways than one. It's not only the way he carries himself and the way he speaks, but that if you look into his eyes, there's like this emptiness, that emptiness behind the eyes, like there's no there.
Nobody home.
Nobody home, nobody home. And I think Mrs. Biden, Jill Biden, knows that as we see him being carted around by her a lot, right? Again, that says a perception. And the president of the United States, leadership is extremely important. And part of leadership is obviously having strong policies and backing those policies up. But it's also about the way a president carries himself. And there's nothing new about this. The visuals, the absolute visuals are important.
Yeah.
Remember, President Franklin Roosevelt, the poor man was paralyzed from the waist down. He was paralyzed because of an infection with polio. But knowing back then that images were important, Roosevelt hid his disability. He wasn't photographed with him being carted around in a wheelchair because they knew it would have an important impact around the world of a leader. And if you're in a wheelchair, the perception is you are weak. Like it or not, that's the way the perception would be. Well, there's no doubt about it that Biden is projected and perceived as a weak leader in the way he talks and the way he acts, Deneen.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't disagree with you there, Dr. Tom. And this is something that we were really thinking hard about to do, to put out for year end and to kind of recap some of the things that we have seen President Biden do and some of the things that have happened to him. And look, this all, we're going to go back, what, 2021,
Yep.
Dr. Tom,
Not too
when he
far.
when he tripped up the stairs trying to board Air Force One. Not once, not twice, but there were like 3 stumbles. And thank goodness he was able to catch himself and hold on, because what we don't want is for him to, hurt himself. He could have tumbled all the way down those steps. So tripping and falling and tripping on the stairs, it sent a visual around the world. It was just like on a loop sometimes. I kept seeing it over and over again.
It
But
still,
there's
it still
still,
happens.
exactly. But it wasn't just that visual. There's also when he was riding the bike. First of all, what was he doing on a bike?
Well, yeah,
What?
where is Mrs. Biden, right? Joe, you sometimes have trouble walking upstairs. Maybe you shouldn't be on a bicycle. And then I
Yeah.
think one of the reasons why he fell is that not only did he have his feet on the pedals, but I think he had one of those straps
Yes.
around your feet, so you can't get out
Yes.
of that very easily. So, what rocket scientist put Biden A on a bike and B strapped his feet in? I mean, come on.
Right. Well, there's also the way President Biden acts, Dr. Tom, which is a big problem. On numerous occasions, Biden has gotten lost after delivering remarks in front of a crowd, an audience. He literally got lost just walking away from the podium.
Yeah,
Didn't know which way he
yeah,
should
and it
go, the
happens.
left or right, or
It
someone
hap-
come get me, please. Like he steps away from the podium and doesn't know where to go.
yeah, Deneen, and it's not just once. It's a pattern.
Yeah,
And there's something going on there that whatever maybe he's so focused on on delivery of the remarks that he loses concept of time and space, because he walks off and he really does have that space, get that glow. There's no doubt about it.
well, there was this one incident where he turned to shake someone's hand, but there wasn't anyone there. That was
Why am I
very
laughing?
concerning to watch. Uh, Yeah. But anyway, at one event, there's another example with his administrative staff. After he finished giving comments, giving remarks, he just turned and walked away. And someone was trying to like go after him to bring him back, to go in the other direction. Someone had to rescue him and they just ended up following him wherever he was going. But that wasn't the plan. That was not the plan. It was so obvious by the looks on their faces. But then there's also Biden when he was caught walking alone with international leaders, and he was basically being ignored. They were all walking around, and no one was talking to him, no one was looking at him, and he was just doing the Biden shuffle, Dr. Tom.
Yeah, and what's really important here in terms, this is about projecting leadership. We haven't gotten into policies yet.
Yeah,
Projecting leadership, because you want, for the United States, you want a president to be viewed strong. Otherwise, people will take advantage of you, especially those countries that are adversaries. They're sitting, watching, and taking a lot of notes. And if you
right.
contrast this with former President Trump, I mean, if you like Trump or not, the man just exhibited strength all the time in his comments to the media. And on that international stage, he had no trouble at the UN calling out Germany. Remember about them? Why are they buying natural gas from Russia?
Russia,
Maybe it's
right.
not a good idea. And those Germans were sitting there kind of chuckling at him. He didn't care. He just kept doing what President Trump did, just all on offense. That's what he was doing. And when he was shaking hands with foreign leaders, it was with strength. I think there's that one video where he shook hands with Putin and he kind of pulled
Pulled them
Putin.
in.
He pulled
Yes.
them in. I
Yep.
mean, and a time when Trump was with all these leaders and he was in the middle of the pack and he just kind of parted the sea and he was right up front. And
Yep.
any of the photos, he was in front of all these leaders in the middle of the picture. I think Biden, some of these pictures, he's off to the side, lost because he doesn't know where he is. I mean,
Yeah.
all this is important in terms of visibility and the perception of strength. And Biden is projecting weakness and that he is a feeble man. And I think probably the most damaging, I mean, we have a few, right? The bike, tripping up the stairs on Air Force One. But I think the most embarrassing moment of 2022 for Biden was when they had that event in the White House and former President Obama was there. And everyone at the White House was forming a circle around former President Obama, and
Right.
Biden was in the background. And at one point, Biden, I think, almost tapped Obama on the shoulder. Hey, I'm here. Don't forget about me.
He did. He did.
Barack, here I am. I don't remember
Right.
the exact way it came down, but it was very, very embarrassing that you have the President of the United States playing second, third, or fourth fiddle to a former President of the United States.
Sure.
That was a complete embarrassment. And again, it exhibits weakness that people, even in the White House, even the Democrats, don't want to be necessarily seen with him. If they had a choice, they would go with Obama.
And
Right?
that visual says it all, really. When he was trying to get Obama's attention, and he
Oh,
knew he was trying to get his attention. He knew it, and he just kept right on
was
ignoring
another
him.
diss, right? Now you have a former president dissing the current president, but not even having the courtesy of turning around. I mean, it would
Yeah.
be common sense if we were in an event like that, the way people swarm around you, and sometimes I'm left in the background,
Oh,
but you're
hey,
still gracious enough to turn and pull me along. Here's Dr. Borelli. You remember him?
that's right. My other half.
Right. Here I am.
But you mentioned our adversaries and the perception of weakness, Dr. Tom. Uh, you know, it's a bad sign all around in terms of President Biden because it affects the way other countries perceive us, perceive him as a weak leader, and also how they deal with us as a country and with Biden. Russia, for example, invaded Ukraine because of Biden's weakness. Don't forget about the fall of Afghanistan,
Right.
right? How that
That
was
was the first
handled,
problem, right, which
and
led to the second one, I think.
we still have people there, Americans, and those who are helping us over there, still behind enemy lines. Then there's Saudi Arabia, the ignored phone call. They did not take Biden's call that time,
That's
and then they
amazing.
also ignored his requests for OPEC to increase oil production, oil drilling. Yeah, sign
Yeah,
of
that
weakness.
that word ignore is kind of consistent, right? Obama ignored him, Saudi Arabia ignored him. So Biden wanted them to drill more. They ignored his request.
Yep.
That is, I don't I don't remember in my lifetime a president that was perceived so weak as Biden is in his own White House and also internationally. I can't think of anyone in my lifetime for sure. Nope. That's
Yeah.
why Biden's got the worst person of the year, and I'm going to vote for the worst person of the decade. But maybe that's another show.
Maybe. But looking forward to 2023, Dr. Tom, it's possible that Biden's weakness will be further challenged internationally. I mean, think about it. China going after Taiwan. Putin, what else is he up to besides the invasion in Ukraine? What else could he possibly be plotting? North Korea, what's going on there as well? There are
Rocket Man.
a lot of moving parts here, and none of them look good at all. And then there's the credibility factor, Dr. Tom, our favorite word, credibility.
Right.
That's also an issue. It's very important for a president. But when Biden says something, is he believable? How can you believe him? How can you trust him?
No, that's why we've tagged him with the name liar in chief, because that's exactly what Biden is. He happens to
Yeah,
be commander in chief, but he is absolute the liar in chief. And it started way back, even at the inauguration. Remember his inauguration, he promised to bring Americans together to heal the political divide, blah, blah,
right,
blah, blah, blah. And then what, in Philadelphia, a month or two before the election, the midterm election, he's there and that standing there with that dark red background. And he's what he'd call, he went after Trump supporters or MAGA supporters, demonizing them, demonizing Americans.
right.
That's not necessarily bringing America together. But for Biden, it's all politics all the time. And that means lying all the way down the road. It's as simple as that. And in multiple occasions in the 2020 presidential election, Biden insisted he had no idea about his son Hunter's business dealings. No idea.
Who?
Number of occasions he said that, right? Well,
Yes.
that's a big lie. In fact, that's a whopper. Another show, I think that's the lie of the year. Maybe another show there, Denise.
Yeah.
There are pictures of Biden, I think more than a dozen, of Joe Biden with Hunter Biden and Hunter's foreign business associates. All right. Pictures don't lie.
No.
There's that evidence right there. In fact, there's a Fox News headline, quote, Joe Biden met with at least 14 of Hunter business associates while vice president. All right. So this wasn't him meeting with Hunter's guys or business associates when he was out of the White House. This is him meeting while he was vice president. So is there any
Right.
wonder why Hunter was getting all these great business deals with China, right? Ukraine? No, it's because daddy was vice president. That's what they
And,
call influence peddling,
yeah.
right?
And no experience. But go
Of
ahead.
course, yeah. Right. He was
Oh,
on
that.
the Burisma natural gas company, yeah,
Yeah.
and working a
Yeah.
deal with the Chinese oil company, wanting to get into American energy, right? You don't
Yeah.
know anything about that. It didn't matter because where was Daddy? Daddy was in the administration. Daddy was number two. When Daddy's number two, you get to do a lot of things. In fact, speaking of number two, I think Hunter also was on Air Force Two when when Joe Biden flew to China. I mean,
Mm.
again, just unbelievable. And there was also, let's not forget, the phone call, which was captured in a voicemail where Joe Biden calls his son Hunter, and it was about a New York Times story about a Chinese business contact that Hunter Biden was getting money from to one of his companies. And Joe Biden says something along the lines, you don't have to worry about it, you're in the clear. In the clear of what?
For what?
This
Right?
this Chinese business executive in China, he got arrested for doing something. I guess there was this New York Times story about this individual, but whatever it was, Joe Biden said, nothing to worry about here, Hunter, because you're in the clear.
Yep. And if there's a problem, I'll fix it. Don't worry about it. You're good. You good. I got you.
That's
I
right.
got you. Ugh. Well, finally, there is Hunter's former business partner, Tony Bobolinsky, who said Joe Biden was involved and was the big guy. Quote, quote, the big guy, right? We've heard those three words numerous
Yep.
times. The big guy. And this was referred to in emails found on Hunter's laptop or laptops.
Yes.
And one email had the big guy getting 10% of incoming money from a joint venture with a Chinese company, Dr. Tom. Oh my goodness. How can you trust any of this that's going on here coming from Biden?
Well, that's the problem, Deneen. I mean, if you or I conducted ourselves
Oh,
like that,
forget it. No,
we would
no,
have no job. We certainly wouldn't be on TV,
no.
right? I mean, uh, it, it,
Or we
it,
would, but we would be seen being perp walked or
yeah, yeah,
something.
exactly. Because right, just the one snapshot,
Because they would want those visuals.
right, right.
Dr. Tom, I
And
saw
orange isn't
you've
one of
been
my
caught.
better colors, so I'm not looking forward to that. So you might look good in orange because you look good
Nah, I
in
don't
many
think so.
things. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, this is part of the problem. Again, it's
Yeah,
about perception. So when he says something, can anyone believe him? When he says something to a foreign leader, can anyone believe him? It is. This is the problem. Even dealing in Congress or with members of Congress or wherever, can anyone believe him? And the answer is absolutely not.
nope.
And that hurts, obviously, his reputation, but that hurts Americans because
Right.
we're at risk because the man is a consistent liar, and we've called him, liar in chief, obviously, but the man's been a fraud his entire life, a fraud.
True. Well, lying is nothing new, Dr. Tom, to Joe Biden. And we've done a lot of research on this. Folks, you can look it up yourself. The videos are out there. And you even have Biden admitting several times when he was running for president because he got caught plagiarizing, whether it was his college law school work or plagiarizing speeches on the campaign trail. The man got caught. Democrat primary, he had to withdraw from the presidential race because he got caught plagiarizing speeches. Not just a few blurbs. I mean, big time, it's huge. I mean, I don't know why people think they can get away with stuff like that. I don't get that at all.
I think the law school
I don't get it.
plagiarism, it wasn't a paragraph, it wasn't a sentence, it was 5 pages.
5 pages, right?
5 pages. That's not plagiarizing. Why don't you just take the whole thing and just put his name on it?
Just
That's
exactly.
not a minor
Exactly.
infraction. Oh, by the way, this wasn't in grammar
Oops.
school. This wasn't in high school. This wasn't in college. This was
Law
in law
school.
school.
Right. I
What
know.
kind of a lawyer is going to be that?
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's a good point, Dr. Tom.
You
Once a
know.
liar, always a liar, right? I'll finish. So now moving on to policy, Dr. Tom, the U.S. has a major crisis at the southern border, but it's not just a southern border crisis. It's an in your backyard crisis, folks. And the Borellis have talked about this numerous times because of how these illegal migrants are transported throughout the country, especially in the dead of night, towns that the locals aren't even aware of it. So it's an in your backyard crisis. Biden created this border crisis because he broke everything that former President Trump set up, especially when it came to the policies on the border. He reversed so many things, Dr. Tom. He stopped the construction of the wall. He stopped the Remain in Mexico policy. They want to end Title 42. All of these things that were helping to stem the flow of illegals and to help out our Border Patrol agents who are inundated. They're over their heads. There's no morale there. There's no support really that they need. All of these measures were put into place to protect our country, to protect our citizens, to protect our borders.
Rule of law. What's that?
Right, right.
It's just, all right. Again, it sounds repetitive, but the man is a disaster. The man is a persistent liar. And it puts all of America at
risk.
risk. It's as
Sure.
simple as that. And Deneen, you're right. All those policies that Biden has reversed from President Trump have been a disaster at the border, and the numbers don't lie. In the government's fiscal year of 2022, there were 2.7 million illegal migrants that crossed into the United States. That's only in 2022. 2.7 million, right?
Wow.
Unbelievable. That broke a record by 1 million. So 1 million more than the previous record. Good job, Biden. You're right on top of everything. And yet
That's
they'll
massive.
lie about that too. They say the border is secure.
Secure,
Remember that,
right?
right?
Yep.
The press secretary, Jean-Pierre, has said that. Secretary of Homeland Security, Mayorkas, has said that. They're lying right to your face, Americans. They're lying right to your face.
And where's Kamala?
Well,
It's
who
supposed to be
knows?
her project. Where is she?
Yeah, who knows? I don't know. Maybe it's better we don't know where she is. I don't know. And then there's the number of gotaways. That is people who they estimate who just ran over the border and weren't encountered by Border Patrol. In fiscal 2022, it's estimated 600,000 just ran in. Who are they? Where are they? Where are they now? Right? 600,000. That's something
Yeah.
like, that is just an unbelievable number. That's like six University of Michigan football stadiums, right? Filled, right? I think that capacity of University of Michigan Stadium is about 100,000, right?
Hmm.
That's six of those. Just
Hmm.
think of that. And we have no idea who these people are or where they came from.
Or where they are. No, you're right. And don't forget the fentanyl
Right,
deaths, Dr. Tom. In 2021, it's estimated that 70,000 fentanyl deaths occurred. Those drugs are just pouring across our border, our open border. This is from NPR. More than 800 migrants have died border-wide in the fiscal year that ends this week, according to internal government figures shared by a senior Border Patrol official. So, Dr. Tom, finally, Biden's war on fossil fuels, we'll talk about another policy here. It's a war against Americans, a war against businesses. It is slamming our country with high energy costs, high energy prices. And it's also discouraging development for cheap, reliable, plentiful fossil fuels. Who would want to invest and go through all of that effort to try to develop and find more sources of fossil fuels when you have the government that is trying to essentially shut you down?
right. And it's also a national security issue, Denise, right?
No, it's huge.
Biden
Yeah.
has to beg Saudi Arabia for them to drill because we're not doing enough here to take care of ourselves. And with respect to reversing of former President Trump's policies, was it day one or day two? Biden came in. I think he halted drilling on federal
Keystone.
lands
Oh, yeah.
immediately. He's canceled the construction of the Keystone XL pipeline. He did that. He had the U.S. rejoin the Paris Climate Change Accord, where we're promising to cut down our CO2 emissions, while China and India, they just keep building those coal plants and keep shoveling that coal. So again, Biden has put us at a complete bad position worldwide when it comes to energy. Now we have to rely on other countries. And if you learned anything in the last couple of years, again, energy is a national security issue. Ask Germany. They were
Right.
relying on Russia for natural gas. Nah, ain't happening this time. Now
Right.
they're scrambling to restart their coal plants and restart some nuclear plants or keep them open because they figured out that they can't rely on Russia. Energy is a national security issue for every country. And Biden's decision with his war on fossil fuels has put the U.S. in a terrible position.
No, you're absolutely right. And we're seeing this up close and personal. It's winter now, and recent brownouts and blackouts
Right.
that
Our
happened
last
because of
episode.
because of the very bad cold snap that swept through the country essentially. So yeah, folks are seeing that up close and personal, Dr. Tom.
Yep, we called it the Green New Deal fail. Get rid of coal, get rid of nuclear, and then you're left with renewable, but it doesn't work all that well when it's cloudy and the wind stops, and we're just short of energy. And as we mentioned, the authorities who are responsible for monitoring our electric grid and for regulating it, they say, yeah, if it's really cold, we're going to run out of energy. We're going to have blackouts. All right, go run your merry way.
Yep. Nothing to see here.
Nothing to see here. In the
Deal
dark,
with it.
there's actually nothing to see here, right? Because
Deal
that's
with
what
it.
happens. When you have a
You'll
blackout, it's dark and it's
yep.
cold,
You'll be in the dark and cold, and you'll like it.
and you'll like it. But
Well,
we
folks,
warned you.
yeah.
We
We
told you.
have been. We have been. All right, folks, we wanted to end the year on presenting the worst Person of the Year award to President Biden.
Right.
And there's so much more, but we only
Yeah.
have so much time and we don't want to bore you. But we
We
do
gave
want
you
to
the
thank
highlights or the lowlights,
the
depending on
lowlights.
which perspective you have.
Exactly. But we do want to thank everyone who has been supporting our efforts with Reigniting Liberty. Keep sharing the video and audio. Tell your friends, write a review. We would greatly appreciate it. And the Borellis want to wish you and yours
Absolutely.
a healthy and happy and prosperous new year in 2023. So, folks, thanks for checking out Reigniting Liberty. And remember, everyone has a role to play. What are you doing for liberty? Until next time.